G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, we're going to be checking out this little bad boy right here, and this is the part 2 review. So if you haven't seen part 1, go check out this video. There'll be a link somewhere straight up here. And the reason this is so exciting is because this is the Tyrant S, the part 2 review part, where we're actually going to take it out and give it a thrashing around. Now this whole quad, it's aimed at some pro performance at, I guess, a sort of beginner entry baseline. So we've got a really solid quad, which is why you should go watch that video if you're interested in it. But what this video is, we're going to be sticking it on the bench very briefly. I'll be showing you some of the little mods and the little, I guess, recommendations I have for it. And then most importantly, we're going to be taking it out, ripping a few batteries about it, talking about its flight characteristics, and we'll also get Grumpy Trev to give it a crack as well. Anyway, enough rambling from me. Let's stick it on the bench, quickly check out the mods, and then cut down to the field and rip a few packs. Alright. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench, and we're very quickly going to zip through the few little mods I did to make this thing fly even better, because I know you guys are itching to see some flight footage, and I'm dying to show you it as well, because it was a really fun little quad to review. Anyway, probably the most obvious change looking at it, you can see that I've changed the propellers right here. So these are the props that came with it. I found these are a little bit more jumpy and not quite as smooth. So what I put on here, I put on some good old-fashioned, well, I don't know if they're old-fashioned, but some good old Cyclones. These things I really find make a really smooth sort of flying experience, and I've been very happy with the Cyclones, so that's what I'm rocking on here. On the outside right here, you can see I've just zip-tied my little antenna, my little receiver antenna in there, and that's for my Turnigy Evolution. I think it's the IA6C. I put that in the back, and I didn't stick the two little parts up here, and I'll talk about why I did that for a reason. And then underneath, this is probably the most significant change, flipping it over, you can see, well, I put my battery strap on. That's not the significant part, but I have put it on the bottom. Now, why is that such a big, interesting sort of design? Because I believe this whole quad was designed to have the battery sitting on top. You can tell that by its profile. It's designed to have the quad sitting up here, but I'm going to show you why that's a bit of an issue. Now, so let's say my battery was sitting up here, which is what I intended to do to start with, and I did try it like this, and that's where I had the little antennas coming up here, and I found that really got in the way. So that's why these antennas have been moved to here, because I was going to mount the battery on the top. But what I found was it sort of had this pendulum effect when it was turning around. I found the battery was a lot higher. It was a lot more unstable, I think, in the air. And also, your battery only has to move the slightest degree before it's going to get cut up. And these batteries can get quite expensive, so I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to have a little bit of a slippage right here and cut up my battery. So that's why, even though this has been designed like it, and look, some people might argue that the aerodynamics are better, and I would argue otherwise, not the aerodynamics, but how it handles in the air would be better with the battery on the top, because it's a sort of smashed lowered profile. But for me, I found putting the battery underneath was much better. So with the battery underneath, it felt much more stable in the air. I'm just going to zip it up right here, so it felt much more stable in the air. And another added little bonus, when I plugged it in at the back here, it was fine, because you've got your little XT60 at the back. But if I did that while it was on the top, it was really awkward with the cord and the cable and the wires, and they could simply fall over to the side, and they could also get cut. So overall, it just seemed like a lot safer option to put it on the bottom. And what I found was it resulted in a much better handling quad as well. So it didn't seem as jumpy, it seemed a bit more responsive in the turns, and overall I think it just flew better with an under-mounted battery. So whatever the reasoning is behind that, I don't know the actual scientific stuff, but that's what worked for me, and I really recommend that people do that. If you're going to get one of these quads, definitely think about putting the battery underneath, because I found it a much more enjoyable flying experience. Now, one other thing that before I forget, I do want to mention the VTX here. My one actually stopped working, so I don't know what the deal was there, whether it was a bit of a reviewer's curse or something like that. But I had to get a replacement VTX in here. Now this one's been fine, I put plenty of batteries through it, but it does sort of remind me of my GT2, which is an amazing quad. You can check that out up here. But that GT2, my very first VTX on that disappeared and didn't work very well either, so I had to get a replacement, which has been rock solid ever since. But the same sort of thing happened with this one. So my very first VTX that I had in the Tyrant, it just sort of stopped working, wasn't putting out any RF noise, which was very weird, and also very annoying. I had to wait for a replacement. Anyway, so that was the 3 little basic mods that I did to my one to make it a little bit different than the stock version, and I think they made a big difference in its flight characteristics. But let's go check those out now. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut down to the field, put a few packs through it, and then also, I know you guys will want to see Grumpy Trev as well, so we'll give it to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. Anyway, let's cut to that in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, so we're down here in the field. I've got the Cyclone props on the Tyrant. I put a 4S battery on here, so let's take it for a little spin and see what it's like, and then we'll get Trevor to try it out as well. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Alrighty, so here it is on its first flight after I've done those mods, so changed the props and those, put the battery underneath, but other than that, it's pretty much stock standard. So this is what it's going to be out of the box for a lot of people if you just change those one or two little things up. And I've got to say, it's pretty quick going around this track. Now, a lot of you guys would have seen this track in the past, and it's sort of become a new favorite for testing out different quads, because I know how the track feels with other quads. And yeah, I've got to say, flying this around, look, it didn't have as much punch as some of the other more, I guess, high performance races that I've had. But for a beginner quad, it was pretty awesome. Now, just floating around, I think I come up and I do a little bit of a punch out and also some acro, but you can see it's definitely got some speed. So if you're getting into the hobby and you're worrying about this quadcopter not being fast enough, there we go, there's a bit of a punch and then some acro. If you're worried about this quad not being fast enough, I think for 99% of beginner pilots out there and even some intermediate pilots, it's going to be fine. Now you can see I'm floating around there just looking at Trev crashing his quad into the ground, and that's actually the furthest place you can crash away that we were flying that day. So there we go, he's going for a bit of a run. So I thought that was a little bit funny. Trying to do a little bit of a power loop there, so you can see it's pretty responsive when it's floating around, and I just felt it was a really nice quad to fly. So I know Trevor's off the course here, so I thought I could go backwards a little bit. And yeah, very responsive. It's probably not quite as powerful as the other bigger brothers out there, but like I keep saying, I don't know how much more power you need, and you've got to think of like a cost thing as well. You know, you're not paying top dollar for this quad. It's sort of aimed at those intermittent people. So for me, I really think this is hitting that perfect zone, that perfect space between having a durable, robust quad that's not going to break the bank, and it's still going to feel really good for most people flying around, and regardless if you want to do some racing or some acro. Now, one thing I'm going to mention as well was a little bit of a bummer about that VTX that happened before, you know, how I had to get a replacement, but other than that, the quad's been really, really durable. So I had a little crash that comes up just here, and the only thing I broke was one prop. Yeah, so overall, I think you can tell that I'm a pretty big fan of this one. But let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev, because he's usually a little bit grumpy, and see what he thinks about the Diatone Tyrant S. It is super windy today, so hopefully you guys can still hear me, and the quad's not going to handle too bad. I really liked it, but let's find out what Grumpy Trev thinks as well, so we'll get his reactions.
Oh, it's nice already. Oh, it's pretty locked in, Stu. I like it.
What do you think for like a first time beginner quad? How's it feeling in the air?
Very nice. Oh, wish I had one of these when I first started. Very nice to fly. Yeah, look great for a beginner.
What about give it some like max power or something and see if what do you think in terms of, because what do you think? Okay, that looked pretty quick, but
that is quick. Tell you what, that's pretty good. This is way better than the Wizard. It's about the same price too, isn't it?
I think it's a little bit more.
Oh, this is nice. All it needs is an OSD. Save your money up, boys. Get this one. This is really nice. Oh, this is a 9. Grumpy Trev rating 9. I love this already. This is so smooth. Well, no oscillations, smooth, no vibration. This is shit hot. This is really good. I tell you, I like this flight better than mine actually. This is really nice. I can't believe how smooth this is. Look at this. This is great.
It's the only quad that I've flown so far that has been really locked in. Out of the box, that's...
Rightio, so there it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing that thing zip around, and I know Trev absolutely loved it because he kept raving about this thing long after I'd turned the camera off. But yeah, if you're after a beginner drone, or you're just getting into this hobby, or you want something that I think is going to last and hold up pretty well in crashes, definitely check out this little bad boy right here. And the great thing is, it's not the most expensive drone as well. I really think they've filled a nice niche in that market between the dollars that you have to spend and the performance you get out. So its performance to dollar ratio is really top notch. Anyway, hopefully you guys liked that. If you found it useful or you enjoyed it, definitely hit that like button, because that's one of the best things you can do to help support UAV Futures. But other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.
Nice already. Very nice to fly. Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. Oh, nice. Tell you what, that's really nice. This is really nice.
Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.